Hi everyone, Claire Rattée here, Conservative candidate for Skeena-Bulkley Valley. Quick disclaimer, this is not going to be like one of my usual videos. I just got home from traveling all weekend and I have another long week ahead of me of campaigning, and I'm in my pajamas at home comfortably, and so excuse me. I also have a couple of little guests with me in the room tonight, a couple of my pets, because I've been really missing them while I've been gone this weekend, so if you hear any meowing or little footsteps, please feel free to ignore those. So the video I want to do this evening is talking more so about political ideology and the political spectrum. And so the reason that I wanted to do this tonight is because I was traveling all weekend throughout our riding. Obviously we had advanced polls this weekend. So while I was traveling, I had the pleasure of being able to speak to a lot of our different constituents and meet a lot of people. But one thing really stood out to me, and so as I was driving home tonight, I stopped in Smithers briefly to get a couple of groceries, and I was stopped by a few people in the grocery store that wanted to say, you know, congratulations, good luck, we voted for you. Really awesome having conversations with a few of those people, but one woman really stood out to me. And she was telling me about how her children, who are, you know, young adults, the youngest of which is just turned 18, and this will be the first time that he's voting, really appreciated having a candidate that they felt they could relate to. Somebody that didn't fit the mold of a typical politician, and they were more willing to listen and to learn and watch my videos because they felt like they could relate to me. And I realized, you know, I've spoken about it a bit before, but it made me really realize just how fortunate I am to be in this position, especially when I look at how far my life has already progressed over the last 8 years living here in Kitimat, and all of the things that I've been able to accomplish, and how lucky I am to have this platform, and how much of an amazing experience this has been, win or lose. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's been really amazing, and I'm so lucky to have had so many people support me, and my team and I have been working so hard for this. But I wanted to really just kind of take a step back tonight and take a look at doing something that might have a broader impact. And so tonight I want to talk, like I said, a bit about political ideology. And the reason for this is because I was really fortunate growing up to have a lot of people around me that understood this really well and explained it to me. But I realized that not everybody does. So I wanted to take this time to talk about that and try and give people the best explanation that I can, and hopefully there'll be a lot of young people that will watch this, and they might learn a little bit and might be a little bit more willing to hear it from somebody that they feel they related to a bit more. So with that being said, I'm going to put up a graphic on the screen here so that everybody can see what I'm talking about, and this is going to be helpful in explaining this. So basically, when a lot of people, Chevy, drop it, sorry, my cats. I think when a lot of people talk about political spectrum, terms we hear quite frequently are left-wing, right-wing, centrist, and most people are aware of that, and I have a general understanding of what that means. But what they don't realize is that there's also a lot more to political ideology than just being left-wing, right-wing, center. So when you look at this, there's obviously kind of 4 different quadrants, and people can fall into all different places and all different categories along the political spectrum. So when you look at, obviously we've got liberalism in the center, which is a very centrist approach. It's a very balanced approach. That being said, that is not where the Liberal Party of Canada sits by any means. So disclaimer on that one, but that is liberalism in the center there. And then as we move further towards the left, you get more socialism. As you move further towards the right, you get more capitalism. Most people are fairly familiar with these terms. They've likely heard them before, socialism and capitalism. But I wanted to just give a little bit of definition and explanation as to what those really mean. So when you look at capitalism, capitalism is basically based on the ideology that in a free market democratic society, people have there's equal opportunity for people to work hard, make a good living, and invest back in their local economies, and this is what creates wealth in this country. The reason that we have such great wealth compared to many other countries is because we operate on a capitalistic society. And then when you look more towards socialism, that's the ideology that the government is responsible for taking care of people, essentially. So one has more government involvement, the other has less. And then also with socialism, it's kind of this belief that everybody deserves not equal opportunity like you do with capitalism, but equal result, if that makes sense. So the big difference there is that with equal opportunity, and obviously this is a very general term, that doesn't mean necessarily that everyone has equal opportunity in this country, because that simply isn't the case. But it's the overall, the average person has the same opportunity to accomplish things and work hard and be successful for themselves and for their families and the people around them as the next person. And in socialism, it's more so a belief that everybody should have the exact same result, no matter how much effort you put in or how little. So for me, I think that it's really relevant to talk about this because that has a lot to do with why I'm involved in this process and why I align politically with the party that I align with. You know, for me, I do know that I'm really fortunate and lucky to be where I am today, but I also know that I've worked really hard for it. I chose to do that, and I chose to keep myself busy and start my business and work really hard, and that's why I got where I'm at today. It's a matter of putting in that effort. Again, like I said previously, that doesn't mean that everybody is capable of doing that. Some people have obvious barriers, and that's why every single party believes in having a social safety net. There are people that are less fortunate among us that we do have a responsibility to take care of. But as an overall general idea, the average Canadian has the same ability as the next one, as I did, to find a way to work hard and become successful, and especially that entrepreneurial spirit that is so important in Western culture and in a democratic society, that you can work hard, you can build up your own business, you can be successful for yourself, successful to take care of your family and those around you, your employees, your neighbors, whoever it may be. And it really is this belief that we do have a responsibility to take care of ourselves, our family, and our community. And then when you look more towards socialism, it's this belief, like I said previously, that the government is responsible to take care of all of us. It's part of the human condition. Unfortunately, you know, it's easier to be taken care of than to work hard for something. So it's a more appealing ideology to a lot of people, especially younger people, to think that, you know, you can be taken care of. It's easier than working hard for it, but I can tell you from personal experience, it's a lot more satisfying when you've worked hard for it yourself. So that's kind of the big difference, in my opinion, between capitalism and socialism. It's also the reason why a more right-leaning party like the Conservative Party is going to have lower taxes, because we want to leave more money in your pocket for you to spend how you see fit and to invest in yourself and your family and your neighborhoods. And we have a very strong belief that, you know, we want to leave that money in your pocket and only tax at a lower amount, because we don't want the government to be controlling so much of our day-to-day lives. They should be there as a safety net for the people that need it most. And there are people that need it the most. And often, a lot of those people don't get the level of services that they do require, because we are moving away from that society where we believe that the average person is capable of taking care of themselves, and more so towards the government needs to take care of everyone. So, and then when you look at parties like the Liberal Party or the NDP that are moving more towards the left, then that's where you see higher tax increases, more government spending, because they believe that it is their responsibility as a government to take care of everyone. Then when you look at the other kind of spectrum there, where we're going either higher or lower, you see more towards lower is more towards like an anarchist, no government, everyone fend for themselves, which again, there's going to be people and parties that are more extreme than others. Extremism is not a good thing, I will add. So, but basically going down towards that more anarchist, and then kind of, if you're looking at it between, like, kind of in the middle there, you'll see libertarianism. And that's something that's important to define as well, because some people aren't aware of the difference between liberalism and libertarianism. But libertarianism is the belief that government involvement should be limited. Not that we shouldn't have government, but that it should be more limited. So, again, aligning more so with most conservatives. And then, like I said, down further, you would be getting into anarchism, which is not a good idea. And then when you go further up on that scale, you get more towards authoritarianism, totalitarianism, and that's when you end up in like dictatorships and things of that nature. So mostly a lot of examples I can give here are more towards that higher point on that spectrum. So towards the left we have communism, which most people are aware of what communism is, but you look at countries like China, they're a communist country. You look at countries like Cuba, countries like Venezuela, that's a really important one right now, because Venezuela was once a really amazing, vibrant country that had great economy, and because they started embracing socialism and then that more totalitarian, authoritarian stance that they're willing to give up personal freedoms and liberties so that they have more control by the state, more government control in their lives, so everyone's taken care of, but you don't really have the personal freedoms and liberties. So that's how they ended up in the situation that they are now, and we look at that country and we see, you know, it's completely collapsing. There's shortages of food, there's shortages of daily essentials like toilet paper. So they're not in a very good state right now, and that is classic communism. It's socialism moving up towards that authoritarian. The government is going to have involvement in every step of your life. And unfortunately, whenever you go towards that, you will end up with this overarching government and less liberty, less freedom. It's an easy ideology to buy into in theory because everybody likes being taken care of. It's easier that way. But once you actually take a look at it, it's in practice and you experience it, it's really dangerous. Giving up your liberty, giving up your freedom is not something that you should want to do. So, and then of course when we move towards the other side, which is more towards the right, we hit fascism, and everybody's familiar with that. That's Nazism, like Nazi Germany, and so again, a really good example of how moving too far in any direction is a bad idea. So unfortunately, communist and fascist dictatorships and governments have been responsible for millions and millions and millions of murders. Unfortunately, that's something that we can see played out in history over and over again, and that's why it is important for us to hang on to our liberties and our freedoms and live in a democratic society that really values the fact that we do have autonomy from the state, and that we are responsible for taking care of ourselves. So when we look at where politics is heading nowadays, sadly my personal view is that a lot of those more left-leaning parties that are mainstream are becoming more and more so authoritarian, and that's what worries me. It's not so much that it's this battle of ideas between the left and the right, it's that it's this battle of ideas between the right and this more authoritarian left, where we want to increase government spending constantly, and we want to institute all these new programs, so we're going to tax you more, and we're going to control more of your everyday life, and then you lose your own personal liberties and freedoms. Capitalism creates wealth, socialism spends it. Do you really want the government controlling every aspect of your life? Do you really want them controlling every aspect of our economy? I think that most people should be concerned about that and should take that seriously and really think about what kind of future you want Canada to have. So like I said, I hope that helps, guys. I hope everybody's had a really great Thanksgiving. I'm looking forward to this last week of the campaign now, and the last couple of debates that we have here. Don't forget, tomorrow night we have one in Smithers, and then we'll also be having one on Thursday in Terrace. Look forward to seeing lots of people there and talking to you guys soon. Thanks and have a good night.